It's nobody's fault but yours. Every day you wake up, you have an opportunity to make a choice. Unless you're dead, there's no excuses.
Waiting for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why
You are now tuned in with knowledge on Straight Bourbon Talk. Grab your glass, take a seat, and be present. There are so many people today that are not taking accountability. They're not taking responsibility for their actions. They're not understanding that they have the control to make their choices. What I'm noticing is what you typically see in society is everyone plays the blame game. We have adults out here blaming everyone but themselves. So it's everyone's fault but theirs. That's a problem that we have in society today. A problem that must be addressed. So today we're going to address that. Today I'm going to talk about that and tell my perspective, tell how I feel about it, what I think about that topic. Accountability is very important for me. Accountability is very important as an adult. As you go through life and want to grow, you have to take accountability. At the end of the day, you got to understand that it's all your fault. Whatever happens in your day, it's your fault. Accidents happen, that is true. So I'm not saying accidents do not occur, because that's accidents obviously occur. However, ultimately, the how your life play out on the day to day are big things, small things. I'm not talking about the spontaneous occurrences that may occur here and there. I'm talking about the day to day operations or your small goals or long-term goals, short-term goals or long-term goals being interrupted because of the choices you're making. That's what it ultimately boils down to. Because of the choices you're making, things are not going the way you want them to. Things are not going as desired. They're not going as you envisioned, right? And at the end of the day, you have to point the finger at yourself. I got to point it at myself and say it's my fault. I have to take responsibility as a grown man. That's what life's all about. Taking responsibility, but don't mope about it. Do something about it. If you don't like what's going on, create a plan and move forward with that plan. Execute. You know what I mean? So what I've noticed is a lot of us tend to blame everyone but the person, or everyone but yourself. An example I have is the government or the system. So we are quick to blame the government or the system. And this is not me being an advocate for the government nor the system, because whether or not the system is good or bad, that's not the topic. However, the question is, what are you going to do about it? If the system is bad, if the system is designed for you to fail, designed for us to fail, if the government is against us and they only want to make sure they take all the money or they take all the benefits for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what it is, right? So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go through your whole life? Behold, you make it to 100 years old. You're going to go through your 100 years of living blaming the government, blaming the system for every fail that occurs in your life? If that's the case, let's say what it is. It's your fault. You hear me? It's your fault. It's no one else's fault but yours. It's not the government. It's not the system. You can't blame anyone else but yourself. If it is a system, learn how to play the system. Learn the system itself. And I don't want to draw down on the system, because I'm not saying it's the system. I'm not saying it's not the system. What I am saying is, if you feel like it's the system, what are you going to do about it to make sure your life goal is planned? That's one example that I see a lot of people blaming on the system or the government. Another one that's very, very touchy for some people. Very touchy. Drug addicts. That kind of boils back to the system again. Well, how did drugs get here? The government. How did drugs get here? This person, that person. They designed for us to fail. They put it right in these areas. That may be true. Again, that's not the topic right here. If you notice, a lot of drug addicts, when you see a drug addict, a lot of people blame the drug dealers. Well, where are they getting drugs from? They're getting it from the dealers. And then, of course, like I said, you got those other people that say, well, where the drug dealers getting the drugs from? They're getting it from the government. So you blame the drug dealers. Then you blame the influencer. Who is the person, who are the people that the drug addict hangs around that introduce them to this drug? Because you typically don't just, walk down the street and find a drug. Someone typically introduce somebody to it. They spill their problems, however it go. They say, hey, this is how I deal with it. Take this to the head, take this, blah, 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 blah. You won't feel the pain no more. They go down that rabbit hole or whatever. Now they're an addict. So they blame the influencer. Some people blame trauma. What occurred in their childhood? What occurred in relationships, friendships, etc. They blame trauma. So you got the drug dealers they're blaming. You got the influencers, the people they hang around they're blaming. You have trauma they're blaming it on. And that's only 3. I'm sure there are many other people to be blamed except the user. Why aren't we blaming the user? And I'm not saying point the finger at them, ha ha ha, you a drug addict. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the drug addict is the one that chose to do the drugs. For whatever reason, they felt the need to do this drug. What you could do, what you should be doing, the drug addict themselves, blaming themselves. The people that want to blame everyone else around a drug addict, blame the drug addict. And I'm not saying a drug addict is beneath anyone. I'm not saying a drug addict is, chopped up, they're dead cause to society. I'm not saying either. What I'm saying is we need to stop blaming people and start putting the focus on the person that's doing what they're doing to themselves. They're self-inflicting this onto their own body, onto their own life. So now that drug addict itself is going to cause more chaos down the road. It's a domino effect. I'm not going to go down that road today on this topic, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. That person need to take accountability because it's their fault. They made a choice to use a drug. They made a choice to use something to cope with what's going on in their life. So instead of blaming everyone around them or every factor around them, blame that person. But once again, I'm not saying don't help that person, but make sure that person take accountability. Branching off from that topic, the drug dealers. Typically drug dealers' reasoning for selling drugs is, they grew up no structure, they grew up in poverty. The dad left, no one had income, they had no guidance. This is all they knew, this is all they saw, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say that's true. Once again, let's say that is true. I've seen it, so excuse me. So I know it's realistic. It's realistic for sure. However, as a drug dealer, you see what comes with being a drug dealer. Now, if you're cool with what comes with being a drug dealer, like everything that comes with being a drug dealer, if you're cool with it, by all means, you feel me? Keep doing what you're doing. But if you can blame a drug dealer for something, or if you don't like being a drug dealer because of what comes with it, let's take accountability for the drug dealers. For those blaming the drug dealers, let's be okay with blaming the drug dealers. But if you're going to blame a drug dealer and also kind of partake in the drug dealing world, if that's what you want to call it, you really can't blame it. You really can't blame the drug dealers because you're partaking in the same thing. Another topic. But the drug dealers, you can't blame the lack of structure, the lack of guidance growing up for the reason being of you selling drugs after you learn right from wrong. Yes, you may came through the struggle. I get it. But you grew up. You made it out. You made it out the struggle. I'm not saying you're on top of the mountain right now, but you made it out of what you were in. And you learned right from wrong. You learned the cause and effect of selling drugs. You learned the effect it will have on your family, on you, on the people around you. Like you saw that. So now you have another choice to make. What choice are you going to make? Are you going to continue selling drugs knowing what could happen? The worst case scenario, best case scenario? Or are you going to say, let me sit down, let me think about this. Is this choice worth it? Is getting this, this product off, is it worth it? All night, all day, is it worth it? So now you're making a choice. So every time you make a sale, every time you pick up a package, drop off a package, etc., 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 you are making a choice. And if you're making a choice and you're fine with that choice, by all means, do what you're going to do. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I want to get the world to understand. I want to get the society to understand. If you're making choices and you're fine with them, that's good. If you're making choices and you're blaming other people, that's a problem. We have to grow up and take accountability for what we do. Because at the end of the day, we wake up every day and make choices. Every day and all day. You wake up. You make a choice to get out of bed if you're getting out of bed. You make a choice to take a shower, brush your teeth, use the restroom, whatever it may be. Whatever your routine is. You make a choice to go to work if you want to work. If you're a drug dealer, to sell drugs. If you're selling anything else, you're selling that. If you're going to school, you're going to school. You're making these choices every day. You make a choice to drive a car, to drive a motorcycle, to walk to work, ride a bus. You make a choice based off of a calculation in your mental, whatever the calculation is. You think is more, it's cost efficient. It's better on gas. It's better on your feet. Better, whatever it is, you make choices based off whatever's calculated in your mind, whatever's calculated in your brain. So you have to own each choice you make. And each choice you make, if something bad occurs, you can't blame people for it. You have to blame yourself for it. Take accountability. Bad things happen to all of us. Good things happen to all of us. So take a step back when things do happen that aren't so good and say, what can we do better? What can we really do better, right? The next topic, the next example, parenting. We got our deadbeat dads out here that are blaming their fathers. Well, I can't call them a father. They are blaming the male species, the male figure that brought them in this world but stepped out, the deadbeat dads. While that is unfortunate for all of us that have an absent father. It truly is. At the same time, can we go through life blaming the absence of that man? You can, if you want to. You truly can. That's your choice. If you make that choice to blame that father for stepping out, then you can make that choice, but make sure that you blame yourself for making that choice. So every step you take after that, based off of not having a father, that's your fault. It's all you. It's your fault. So when you go out here and decide to lay down with a woman and make children, and then you do the same thing, or you don't treat these children with love, or you don't treat these children with respect, or you don't raise them properly, you don't know how to raise a young boy to be a man because you didn't have a man raising you, that's no excuse. You made a choice to lay down with that woman. You made a choice to to participate in making a baby with this woman. You knew what could happen by doing what you're doing. By being grown, you knew the possibilities of doing this can land you a baby. But you also knew, growing up, I didn't have a father. So how am I going to know how to be a father if I never had one? Well, if you feel that way, why are you open to having children just yet? I'm not saying period. Why are you open to have children just yet? Because a piece of advice I would give fatherless young men out here, fatherless children, period. Sorry, parentless children out here, period. If you didn't have a parent, a father, or a mother in your life, for men, this is for men and women, girls or boys, you weren't shown what to do, but you do know what not to do. You can't say what you want from a father, from a mother, but you can say what you don't want. I don't want my dad to be out here fumbling the rent money. I don't want my dad out here beating my mother. I don't want my dad out here cheating on my mother. I don't want my dad beating on me. I don't want my dad mistreating me. So you do know some things based off of the absence. So at bare minimum, you know what not to do. So if you know what not to do, do the opposite of that. That's going to give you a jump start right there of being a good parent. A fairly decent parent, you know what I mean? And from there, you're going to learn by experience, learn by research, just like anything else we do. We YouTube everything, we Google everything, we go to social media for everything. Why not do the same thing for parenting? You'll not be a good dad? Go to Google. Take some classes in school. Go to YouTube. Ask men around you. Seek out followers that you know, if you see a follower in the sun, hey, I got a question for you. Is it okay if I ask you a personal question? Why are we so scared to do this? But we'll do it for anything else that's materialistic, that don't mean anything. So, young men out here, we can't blame our deadbeat dads for not being in our life. So now that's a cause and effect. That's a domino effect in our life to where we're going to do the same thing. Generational curse, right? We're going to do the same thing and be a bare minimum dad to our children. Or absent completely, just like our fathers did, right? You can do the same thing. But if you do that same thing, it is your choice. You made that choice. Take accountability. So if you're a deadbeat dad, own it, right? I'm a deadbeat dad. If that's what you are, that's what you are. I don't condone it. I don't respect it. But that ain't for me to respect. That's for you to look in the mirror every day and take accountability and say, I made a choice to walk out of my child's life. I made a choice to be a bad father. If you can look in the mirror every day and say it to yourself, that's up to you. Same thing with women. Bad mothers. You typically see women that are bad mothers because they say they weren't raised with love from a mother, or they didn't have a mother at all. So if they did have a mother, maybe their mother didn't know how to treat a lady or treat a young girl to become a woman because she was rough and she was more masculine, or she was always chasing a man, or she was just never around. Ultimately she's a unfit, bad mother, whatever you want to call it. Same thing for the men though. You can't blame your mother for you being a bad mother. Trauma's real, but you need to deal with that trauma. So just like you made a choice to be a bad mother because of you having a bad mother, make a choice to deal with your trauma. Make a choice to overcome your trauma, not just deal with it. Face your trauma, overcome your trauma. That child deserves a good mother. Since you made the choice to lay down and do what you did, that child don't deserve any better. That child don't deserve any less of a life than a fit mother, just because you made a choice knowing you were still dealing with trauma, or you haven't faced your trauma because of what occurred in your childhood. That child still deserves a fair chance. So you need to take accountability. You need to make the choice to be a good mother. And if you don't, because of your childhood, it is your fault. So take that time, deal with your trauma, overcome your trauma, and be a good mother for them children, or that child, whoever it is. Don't use no excuses. In relationships, women beaters. You got men out here that are beating women. They think it's cool to beat women because they saw their pops beat their mama. They saw their mama talk crazy to their daddy. So, if a woman talk crazy to a man, that's disrespectful, so you got the right to beat them. Or, women, they might have seen their mother, and their mother didn't have any self-respect. So she's always got different men around. And typically, that can lead to a young boy having no respect for women. Seeing their mother do things like that and beyond can lead them to not having respect for women. Regardless, that does not make it okay for a man to be beating a woman. You made a choice. You made a choice to be beating this woman, especially if you continuously beating her. I know some men say it was instinct. Like, oh, sorry, it wasn't instinct. Sorry, it was reflexes. Like, she grabbed me and off reflex, I backhand her. I can't speak on reflexes. I'm not no reflex expert, and to say what happened at that moment, I can't say all that. What I can say is If you are a woman beater, this is not a man that hit a woman one time by accident. This is a woman beater. You're actively doing this. You know you're doing this. You're known for doing this. You make the choice to beat them women, and it's wrong. So you can't blame your mother because she was a bad mother. You can't blame your father because you saw him doing it. You can't blame anyone but yourself. Take accountability. You made a choice to beat that woman. Take accountability. So when they send you to jail, in prison, or when she go get her brothers and daddies and uncles and friends to jump on you, shoot you, kill you, whatever may happen, that's a choice you made. What you thought? What did you think? The woman's gonna keep laying there and let you beat her? No, it's wrong. You knew it was wrong. So if you know it's wrong, stop beating these women. If you're dealing with some trauma, same thing. Go get some help. Deal with that trauma and move on through life. Don't blame nobody but yourself for beating them women. A street, I would call it like a street example. Being a snitch. So if for whatever reason you face something like this of being a snitch, if you are living by the code, or you just happen to get involved in something and you're not living by the code, but you do happen to tell some information to free you up or reduce your time, that's a choice you make. That's a choice you make. So if you living by the code and you snitch and you get your time reduced, you go back home, you gotta be in witness protection, protective custody, everybody calling you a rat, everything goes downhill for you. That's a choice you made. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. That's not for me to say. What I am saying is you made a choice. You thought that was the best choice for you, your family, or whoever it was. So you made that choice. Take accountability, take ownership of what you did, and understand what comes with it. Like most people know what comes with snitching typically, especially if you in the streets and living by the code. If you're in the streets and living by the code and you snitch, I know the times are changing, yet you know what typically comes with it. So if you make that choice to snitch, understand that what comes with it is what comes with it. Don't go blaming so-and-so because he did this, or blaming so-and-so because he did this. And I talked to my mom, I talked to my girl, and she said that I should snitch, and she thought it was best to say blah, 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 blah. Hey, whether that's right or wrong, true or false, you made the choice to snitch, so now you got to take the ownership of that. So what comes with it is going to come to you. They're not going to come to your girlfriend or your mama and wife or kids, whatever, and say, hey, why'd you tell so-and-so this? They don't care. They're going to come to you with whatever problem they get with you. So same thing for that world. If you're faced with that, you got to make a choice. Whatever choice you make, just take ownership of it. Be held accountable for what you do. You're a grown man, grown woman, you're a grown adult. Even if you're not grown, if you're put in that position as a youth, same thing. A lot of people might say it's great because they're too young to make the decision. However, if we're positioning ourselves to be a part of something like that, that means we're making choices to do so. You got to take accountability as well. It might be a little sooner than most people, but you chose to pursue that life sooner, so that's what comes with it. Another touchy topic, especially for women. Another touchy topic, especially for women, is the weight. Yes, I said it, the weight. This is not body bashing, body shaming, women bashing, none of that. This is just reality. Weight, right? Weight and conscious eating has been a trend for probably decades now. It's probably been honestly a trend for decades. Healthy eating, weight loss, gym, exercising, all of that has been a trend for quite some time now. So whether it's eating, lack of exercise, or even a medical situation or a health situation, no one knows but you. Outside looking in, obviously we're going to see what we're going to see. And typically, what do we use to see? We use our eyes. We don't usually use our ears and mouth and sense to see what's going on. We use our eyes to see what's going on. So that's all we really can see. So let's say you are overweight. Who is to blame for this? And this is obviously taking out the people that are fine with their weight. If you're fine with your weight, you're fine with the health conditions that come with it. If there are health conditions that come with it, then we're not talking about you. Because if you're truly fine with it, then hey, you're in your own category, you're fine with it. We ain't talking about you. People that do have a little problem with it, even if they try to brush it off and they're comfortable with it, but they still don't like it. Because we have a lot of those too. They're comfortable with it, like they still have confidence. They're not like sensitive about it per se. However, they don't like it. So we're gonna group all them people in here for sure. When you eat the way you typically eat, or don't exercise the way you should or could, or don't go to the doctor the way you should or could, because sometimes it's a medical situation and you know it, or you don't know it, but that's also that's a choice you have to make to find out. Like no one is out here just looking at you and say like, oh, I can tell they have something's wrong with their stomach. I'm gonna go walk up to them and tell them something's wrong with their digestive system. They should go see a doctor. No. You know your body better than anyone else. If you feel like it's a medical situation, go see your doctor. That's your choice. Or if you don't know at all, just go see it. Just go to the doctor, get a checkup. Hey doc, I'm having a problem losing weight. Can you look further into it? What's going on here? Maybe it's something in there. Maybe it's just you need to exercise, eat less. Bam. Okay, we got that problem knocked out. Now let me go to work. Am I eating right? Am I exercising right? Am I balancing it? I'm a man of, I believe in moderations and balance. I don't believe in, salads every day, organic food and fruits and vegetables, no meat, no pork and all of that, and work out 7 times a week. No, I don't believe in all that. I believe in balance. If you're going to eat a little on the bad side, make sure you eat good on the good side as well. If you're going to take some lazy days, make sure you grind some days. You know what I mean? That's balance. But keep in mind, balance is only going to keep it balanced. So if you want to go lower on weight, you got to make your shifts. If you want to go heavier on weight, you got to make your shifts to make sure those things balance out. That's what I believe in. But you will see people that's on the heavier side blame their eating on everything but themselves, right? So they make the decision to eat and eat and eat, or not work out, or not drink water. They just drink pop, flavor water, juice, everything else but water. Or right now they got this, what is it called? Basically a lot of juicing. Okay, so if you're a juicer, then juice. That's fine. I don't care. Whatever you do. However, the root of why you're doing it is what people are blaming it on. They're blaming it on depression. They're blaming it on their trauma. They're blaming it on coping. Like, I eat to cope. I eat because I'm depressed. I eat because I'm dealing with trauma. Or I'm suppressing my trauma because I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? Or comfort. That's another one. Comfort. It's my comfort food. I'm comfortable. Especially when people get in relationships. They get relationships, they get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. But if you do get comfortable, be aware of it. You get a new man, new woman, you getting eaten, you getting loved properly. So you think you feeling good, y'all going out to eat all the time, y'all with whining and dining and all that fancy stuff. Take some of those dinner meals and go to the gym. Some of those dinner dates, hey babe, let's skip lunch today, let's hit the gym. Don't get too comfortable to where you look up, you gain, like in college they get their freshman with the freshman 15. Don't gain that 15 from being in a fresh relationship. 15, 20, 30, whatever it may be, and look up a few years on the road, and now you're a completely different person physically. Moral of that, as far as the weight goes, is your fault. It's your fault. You made a choice. You made the choice of eating more than you should, working out less than you should, not going to the doctor and finding out what's going on, or whatever it may be. Like, weight is very important. You know, weight can lead to a lot of health issues. You know, diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, even your joints. Once, like, if your weight gets too big, it can mess up your joints, etc. It can, you know, whatever it is. I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to be healthy as possible. You know, again, I'm not super on the eat salads every day and vegetables and carrots and not every day. I'm not that person. However, I do want everyone to be healthy. I do want everyone to be happy. So if you are bigger, on the bigger side, or if you, the opposite, you're anorexic on the super skinny side because maybe you're, you know, whatever that stuff is called, where you gag yourself, make yourself throw up. You know, whatever that may be. It's your fault. It's your fault. You made the choice to do it. So if you're happy with it, by all means. If you're not, do something about it. You know, simple as that. Take accountability. You know, so another example is careers. Careers, colleges. I'm gonna say them in reverse. Colleges / schools and careers. And this list can go on forever. It can be your living, where you live, city, state, neighborhood you live in, car you drive, what car you drive, any of those things. You're making a choice to do that. So if you choose a career to be say a nurse or a mechanic or cosmetologist, or you doing hair or cutting hair, or you may be an engineer, whatever it may be. Every career you have, every career there is, every career there is, every job there is, there are going to be goods and bads. You know, there are going to be good days, bad days. There are going to be the ugly days. What you got to understand is you make a choice. Career choice, school choice, you make that choice. Now, sometimes you grow up and your parents pick your school for you. Okay, that's fine. You know, we get it. They paying for the school. They want you to be a doctor. They want you to be a lawyer because they come from a family of lawyers, family of doctors. They want you to do that. Okay, I get it. They're paying for it, so you got to do what you got to do. We're not talking about you. That's that small asterisk right there that we're not going to talk about. We're going to talk about the people that are choosing to go to school and that are choosing their careers. We're going to talk about those people. Those people need to make sure they're not blaming anyone but themselves when they choose their career, when they choose their schools. Most of us aren't going to get it right with everything the first time. We're just not. You know, I went to college. I went to college multiple times before I finished. And every time I went, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and I would get bored really quick. I get bored with almost everything really quickly. Like, it don't take a lot for me to get burnt out. So I would go to school, go to classes, my grades up, they looking good, and I'll just get bored. One day I'll get bored, the next day I just won't come at the class. I literally did that multiple times. So I get it, but I had to take accountability. So when I came back to school one time, I was on SAP. I was on probation. And I was like, why am I on probation? Like, when I left, I had good grades. What I didn't know, I was ignorant of the fact that you need to withdraw from classes. If you're going to stop going to school, you have to withdraw from classes. I didn't know that. I took it to the chin. What am I going to do? Go blame the professor, blame my parents? No, I'm a grown man. No, dang, I ain't know that. Now I know. All right, what I got to do to get back to school? What do I got to do to get off probation? Oh, come on in, we talk about it. Set that up. I made the choice. I set that appointment with my advisor. I came in there with them. I talked to them. We made a plan. I said, bet. Left the room. I executed. I made a choice. But I didn't make the right choice the first time, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. But each time I took accountability. Each time I owned it. If I messed up, I said, dang, I messed up. I will say that any given day. If I mess up, I'll say I messed up. I messed up. So when it comes to school, no, I didn't make the right choice the first time, second, third. At the end, I took ownership of each choice I made, though. Each choice I made, I took ownership every single time. It was me. It was no one else but me. You know, so when we're going out here and making these career choices, we're making these school choices, we're finding, we're getting 2-3 jobs. Some of us are getting multiple jobs to take care of our family. And if you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta make a choice. You have to make a choice to go get multiple jobs. You gotta make a choice to work a certain shift because of your schooling for your children, whatever it may be. Don't blame anyone. Don't nag about it. Don't cry about it. Own it. You know what I mean? Grab the steering wheel and drive till the wheels fall off. If you don't like it, do something about it. That's that. Hey, at the end of the day, if you don't like something, what are you gonna do about it? That's a saying, right? That's how the saying go. Don't come to me with a problem if you don't have a solution. I was told that multiple times in the work field, and that's one of the kind of models I live by. If someone comes to me a problem, what's your solution? I don't have one. Okay, what do you want from me then? You want some advice? I give you some advice. But after a few times of me giving you advice, and if you don't apply it, but you still come to me with problems, now I'm not giving you advice. So now you come to me with a problem. You don't have a solution. I've given you advice multiple times and you're not using it. Why are you coming back talking to me? I have nothing to say to you. I've tried to help you. You haven't used my advice. You don't have a solution. So you probably want to go back to the drawing board and figure some things out on your own. At this point, you're just spinning the wheels and you're going nowhere. So another thing I see that's kind of a hot topic are waiters and waitresses. So everyone believes if you go out to eat, you should tip. And everyone believes you should tip, I guess, big, or whatever you want to say big is, or tip fair, or I don't know, whatever you want to say. What I will say is waiters and waitresses signed a contract with that employer saying that they make this much money per hour, per day, whatever it is, their rate, plus tips. Knowing that tips are optional, they made a choice. They made a choice to walk in that restaurant. They made a choice to apply for that job. They made a choice to do the job. And every day they come in and do the job, they make a choice. You really can't expect a customer to tip the way you want them to tip every time. You can't even expect the customer to tip every single time, period. You can't. Like, you expect them to, but let's be real here. Every job outside of being a waiter or waitress, if a waiter and waitress should get tipped every single time, why shouldn't you get tipped at your job? You do a good job of what you do, right? I think I do a pretty good job of what I do. Why aren't we getting tipped? Because tipping is optional. In some fields people work in, tipping isn't even an option at all. But they bust their butts. Like these factory jobs, these people are going in there working very hard. Long hours, hard floors, the list can go on. They receive 0 tips. And I'm not saying waiters and waitresses don't have a fair load on them as well. My point is that they made a choice to choose that career, knowing that tipping is optional, which means that their paycheck, their salary, is dependent on that hourly wage plus tips. So they have hope and expectation that people was going to tip them every single time, and people are going to tip them heavily or accordingly every single time. But realistically, they gotta understand that it's an option for people to tip. Just like it was a choice for them to apply and do the job, it's a choice for a customer to tip if they want to tip, or they feel like tipping, or if they even have to tip. A lot of people like, well, they broke, they shouldn't even be eating out. That's your opinion. Like, that's really your opinion. Like, a lot of people believe if they go eat, they go eat. They're not paying to eat and to tip. They're just paying to eat. Some people believe if you're going to go out to eat, you should plan to eat and tip. Whatever you believe is what you believe. However you think is how you think. What I am saying is that waiters and waitresses choose that job just like we choose our job, just like we choose our careers. So make sure, if you're going to say the same thing for waiters and waitresses, make sure you go to your job tomorrow or next week, and whatever you do, if you don't get tips or you don't get extras, make sure you tell your manager, hey, I deserve tips. I deserve extras. I should get tips because I did this, this, and that. I'm sure whatever job you've worked at, you've done over and beyond what that job description said do, and you're not getting a tip. But if you do get a tip, or you do get a bonus, or you do get some extras, you're grateful for it. Alright? So I'm just saying, like, for everybody out there that's choosing careers, make sure you understand that that's a choice you make. That's all I'm saying. It's a choice you make. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. As long as you're good with, how things balance out, that's all that matters. Take accountability. Don't blame anyone. Don't blame the customers. Don't blame the restaurant. Don't blame the economy. It is what it is. Like, none of that stuff is going to change just for you, or just for me, or just for any of us. But you can make a decision. You can make a choice to make something change for you, and make something change for your family or those around you. You have to make that choice. It's up to you. So ultimately, to close it out, I would say the problem we are having today, the problem we are seeing today, there are so many people, there are so many adults blaming others for what's going wrong in their lives. And we have to come up with a solution for that. And our solution is to understand, first off, it's our fault. Everything we do is our fault because we make choices every day, all day. So to combat this problem and go through with a solution, our solution should be, or can be, take accountability. Take accountability, take ownership, and just admit it. Say, hey, it's my fault. I did it. I made that choice. And I own that choice. And if I'm happy with it, I do it again. If I'm not happy with it, what am I going to do to fix it? So that's pretty much the solution. So go out in this world, make better choices every day, make better choices daily. Stop blaming other people for what you have control over. If you don't have control over anything else, you have control over you. So if you got control over you and what occurs to you and what occurs in your daily life, daily routine, day-to-day activities, do something about it. So until next time, y'all take it easy. Y'all be safe. Peace.